Hello, and welcome to another episode of Disrupt Your Now. This is the show for entrepreneurs who are sick and tired of checking off the boxes that everybody else has created, and you want to start creating your own boxes to check off. Tonight, we have an amazing guest, and this guest is perfect for this show. Randy Molland. First of all, welcome, Randy.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, Randy, at a very young age, learned a terrible lesson by losing his mentor tragically. He learned that you're not always guaranteed tomorrow. So he used that as inspiration to start his own business, built a really successful business at a very, very young age, and then learned another lesson that, you know what, money isn't everything. And there's got to be something more that I can do with this money. And helping others and leaving a legacy feels so much better than just the money. So he started the movement Go Big to Give Big to help six-figure earners become seven-figure givers. So, Randy, I want you to take that little bit that I said and give them more information about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. First off, thank you so much for having me. When I saw the name, like Disruptor Now, that is everything I'm all about, like disrupting normal cues and changing things up and just trying to do things a little bit differently is what I've learned along the way. And so a little bit of my background is I was I'll say, if any of you know Tim's story, he says, I grew up low income, but not low class. My
Yeah.
family really took care of me. I had a younger brother, and my dad was an entrepreneur trying to do the grind and the hustle. And unfortunately, my brother passed away from sudden infant death. So at 6 months old, he didn't make it. But my dad spent 6 months working and didn't spend a lot of time with him. So we kind of had this alternative that he had to make. Do I want to be, continue down this path of entrepreneurship and not really see my kids in the grind? Or do I just want to be the best dad ever? And so he chose to just take a normal job and be a great dad. Fast forward to when I was 16, he said, start working now, son. You got to get going and make some money and do some really great stuff in this world. So I became an electrician by trade. So at 22, I was a ticketed journeyman, having a lot of success in the industry and really excelled. And to the point where at 25, I was able to buy my first home. So I was very fortunate to get into a property very early, very young. And 2 weeks after I bought my first property, the mentor that I had worked underneath for 5 years, that kind of was like my uncle or big brother in the industry. We worked, 40 hours a week for 5 years side by side as sidekicks. I actually got hit by a telephone pole on a job site. And so in an instant, I went from grinding, hustling, buying my house and thinking in 25 years at 50, I'm going to have my retirement plan, my house will be owned and I'll be set, to watching my best friend who was 42 get hit by a telephone pole and not even make it to 50. So
God.
I'm very fortunate at a young age that I witnessed my dad go through what he went through with my younger brother, and then watching my best friend go through the loss, or not witnessing it, but watching my best friend's struggle of going through loss. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. I've had two experiences where I've watched people not be able to live their dreams.
Mhm.
And so I said, what for? Why am I just going to be an electrician till the time that I'm 50 just to kind of create this freedom? I want freedom now. I want to live the life. I don't want to wait until I'm 42, get hit by a telephone pole and it's all over. So
Yeah.
I decided to just go all in. And so I just Googled, like every 25-year-old that wanted to get rich, how to make as much money as you can and never work again. And if anyone knows anything about real estate investing, it's get rich through passive investments. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So I spent all my trauma and all the pain I was going through. I was very fortunate to move that into a positive light and say, hey, because my best friend passed away, I'm going to go crush this life and do some really epic stuff. So I started a real estate investment company, and I would do a lot of the work. I'd bring in investors and we'd go out and do a lot of really cool projects. And we had some really big success early on. I'm very fortunate and lucky that when I put my effort and energy into something, I tend to succeed because I just work very hard at it. And we had some great success. And I distinctively remember sitting there one day going, what for? Like my friend grinded really hard to get to
Mhm.
where he was, but didn't get the freedom. My dad grinded really hard and then had to walk away because he didn't get to spend time with his kids. Here I am just grinding really hard to make more money with no purpose behind it. And I remember vividly the next day, my friend sent me a podcast. Didn't talk to him, didn't do anything. I just had this download of like, I need to change something. And
Mhm.
then the next day I got a podcast from a guy named Cole Hatter. And Cole was talking about how if you wanted to make your money, you should learn how to make your money matter. If you wanted to make $1 million and live a financially free life, that's cool. Just build your business to do $2 million in revenue, give $1 million away, and live off your $1 million and don't feel guilty. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh my God,
I
that
love that.
that was the thing that I needed to ignite me, to get me excited, to change everything. And I said, this is it. This
Yeah.
is what I was put on this earth to do. I was put on this earth to not just make a ton of money, to have my best friend pulled away from me and stuff. I was put here to take all of that and go make a ton of money, but then give a ton of it away to make a lot of impact. And so that's what I ended up doing. Is I went to Cole's event, signed up for his mastermind, got really involved in his community, learned how to make my money matter. We took our free meetup, we made it paid, but we donated 100% of the money, and we went from 20 people, so we're donating $10 per person. We're donating $200 a month, and we scaled it up to 100 people in a few months to donate $1,000 a month from our meetup. Very cool. And then we took our real estate portfolio, started donating $10 per door per month from our rental portfolio. So our fiveplex donates $50, our duplex donates $20, and we created passive donations through our rental portfolio. And all of a sudden, my world changed. I had so much more abundance. I had so much more openness. I was just in this world of just complete peace of like, this is it. This is what I'm put on this earth to do. And so I asked Cole, I know the story's getting long, but I'm almost
No,
done.
I love it.
But
Please keep going. Yeah.
and then I asked Cole, hey, can I franchise the Make Money Matter? I want to bring that up to Canada. I want to be the next like Make Money Matter guy. And he's like, dude, this is my mission. Go create your own and I'll support and endorse you. So I was talking to my business partner. I was like, what is it, dude? I know we need to like the bigger we go, the more we can give. We just need to keep in the go big to give big kind of realm. We just
Yeah.
need to keep going bigger so we can give bigger. We need to go big to give big. And he was like, that sounds pretty
Hello,
catchy.
that's it.
And
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. That's my life's purpose, is just going bigger to give bigger.
Mhm.
And so the birth of our brand, Go Big to Give Big, was born. That was around 2017, 2018. We slowly built that through our portfolio to about 2020. Didn't really tell many people about it, but people knew us as it. 2020, the pandemic hit. Watched a lot of nonprofits and charities suffer because they couldn't do events. And I'm sitting here like, I'm still making my donations. Nothing's changed in my life. And I was like, this is it. Like, I'm onto something here. Something's a little bit different around the way that we're doing business and giving back. And that's when I decided to just go all in on it. Fast forward to now, where I've really just dove all in. I've studied every stat you could ever imagine around giving back. I just believe that my purpose on this earth is to teach entrepreneurs how they can add giving components to their businesses and just completely disrupt the, I'll say, capitalism and philanthropic worlds,
Yeah.
marry them together, and just make it so they passively get donations from all the businesses in the world.
Randy, while you're talking, two things are happening to me. First, I have chill bumps, and secondly, I'm fighting back tears because it touches me so much that you, at such a young age, learned these valuable lessons, but also acted on them. And there's so many people that literally live their entire lives. They never learn it, and then they end up on their deathbed and think, I wish I had done something more. And the fact that okay, I'm going to cry. The fact that you've taken those tragedies and not only use them for inspiration to build something for yourself, but to help other people is just overwhelming to me. But also, sorry, also personally, it's so touching to me because I've always been the type person that I'm like, anything I do, I want it to have a bigger purpose. So to see you figuring out a way to do that in such an awesome way is just amazing to me.
Thank you.
And the other thing that I love is that you're helping these nonprofits and teaching them to rethink how they raise money, because that's another thing. I'm like, all of y'all have your hands sticking out. You're all going after the same buckets of money from the same people, and it's a never ending cycle. And if you can figure out a way to change that, and you've figured it out for them, so they don't even have to figure it out, they just need to listen to you now.
You just need to get in touch with the right communities and the right people. And this is what blows my mind. And I'm a big visionary thinker, and I know I play in kind of a make-believe world where anything can really happen. I'm in real estate. I'm getting in every business, but I'm just going to run you through a scenario here. I'm a real estate investor. I have 1,000 units in my portfolio. I donate $10 per door. That means I'm donating $10,000 a month, $100,000 a year passively. Whether I wake up in the morning or not, that building will forever donate as long as it's in my organization. That's $1,000. Let's just say I bought four. What's that going to be? No, it's not going to work. 4 500. Nope. This math is. I'm like you. I'm just having a bad day. 4 250 unit buildings. That's 4 transactions I did. What if in all 4 of those transactions, I asked the mortgage broker, the title company, the insurance broker, and anybody else involved to make a donation because they did the transaction? Hey, anytime you do a transaction with me, you donate a portion of your commission to a charity. So now we did 4 donations from every one of those people to buy the buildings. So we did $100,000 a year in passive revenue. But let's say we did $100,000 in donations because everybody along the way wanted to donate as well. So we end up in these really cool scenarios where that's just one person with 1,000 doors. I'm just consulting somebody now that's got like 6,000 doors in their portfolio that's looking to donate $60,000 a month in passive revenue.
Wow.
That's 2 people. Like I'm like, I know just in my intimate circle, probably I don't know, like, are we talking 20, 30, 40,000 doors in my intimate circle? We're talking $500,000 a month in consistent passive revenue. That's where I get really excited and passionate because I'm like, all it is just changing the psychology of buying properties or doing capitalism.
Right.
You know, it's not common right now. It's becoming common. I can throw as many statistics at you as you want to prove why it's becoming more popular, but this is the way consumerism is going. People want to see businesses that are doing good in this planet. They don't want to see greedy capitalists putting more in their pocket. They want to see them making impact with it. So as we start to see more and more of this come, it wouldn't shock me within the next 10 years if we see the scales start to tip where we see more businesses that give back than businesses that don't. And weird analogy, it might become kind of like smoking a cigarette, where before it was like, oh, you're the cool person smoking. And now you're kind of like, ooh, you're that person that has to go outside to smoke and get away from everyone. We might see the same thing around business where it's like, yeah, like you're that right now, you're kind of like that cool person not giving back and making money. But in a few years, you'd be like that person that's like, oh, wait, you don't give back? We don't want to associate with you.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's so easy to do. And the amount that you're giving, you don't even feel the loss, if you will, of the amount that you're giving, but it makes such a huge difference in other people's lives because of the exponential growth of it. And the other thing that I love is there's so many companies that, they're starting to realize that they need to be involved in cause marketing in some kind of way, but they're totally going about it the wrong way. They're paying a fortune to advertising and marketing firms to come up with schemes that they think will go viral or they think will give them attention, instead of simply going about it the human way and thinking, what are the things that are important to us and how can we easily support it? And it just blows my mind, the simplicity of it and the fact that you even have to explain it to people.
It's crazy. So I'll give you the three. So this is the thing. Here's the stat. 86% of all consumers want to work with an organization that has some sort of giving component versus one that doesn't. That's through the consumer report from 2017. It's from a Cone consumer report from 2017. That was the stat. So let's just take that stat and say 86% of all people. Lisa, you and I both run consulting companies. We both offer the exact same products or service at relatively the same price with relatively the same kind of personalities. If we were to offer those services to a client, I have an 86% better chance of having that client hire me than yourself. So I'm starting to take market share from you.
Yeah.
So not only am I doing good, yes, I might give a portion of my little profits away, but I'm going to be taking 86% more clients than you because they want to work with companies that want to give back. That is the stats. That's proven. So if that's the case, why isn't more people doing it? These are the 3 things that I've found primarily that stop people from giving. The first thing is that we can't even pick a Netflix show that we want to watch at night. How are we supposed to pick a charity? It
Right.
is
Yeah.
overwhelming. People
That's a
look at it
great
and they
point.
go, my friend donates to cancer. My friend donates to child sex trafficking. And my friend donates to the elephants in Africa. And it's like, I like all of them and I don't like any of them and nothing's personal to me. And which one takes all the money? And I heard charities are scams. And next
Yeah.
thing you know, you're like, that's it. It's just like, I just won't donate. So
Yeah.
what I encourage people to do is simply just look for two charities. One that makes you happy, something that brings you joy. And I'm not talking about going deep into their charities and making sure that stuff. Just find something that makes you happy and start donating to it. A very small amount. Just make it happen.
Mhm.
Start donating to a charity that makes you happy, something that brings you joy. Then the second one is find something that makes you sick to your stomach. Something that when you think about it or that it exists in this world makes you ill or makes you feel like, ugh, I can't stand that. Child sex trafficking,
Yeah.
people without clean water, anything that has to do with like the fact that this still exists in this world makes me sick. If you find those two charities, the happy charity will make you excited and joyful. The sick to your stomach charity will make you work harder. That will make you be like, hey, if it's just money that's stopping clean water from happening in Africa, why are we not funding that? If I do more business, I can help more clean water. Easy concept. So
Mhm.
that's the first thing. Find a charity, make it simple, don't overcomplicate it. Do your little bit of vetting, make sure the social media is good, make sure that you do a little bit of research, but don't go deep. You're just getting started. That is the most important thing.
Mhm.
The second thing is people think, I'm not writing a $50,000 check. I'm not making a big enough impact. Of course, I started donating $20 a month from my duplex portfolio, and now that portfolio scaled to be something. So the analogy is if you go to the gym, you don't just grab the 50-pound weight and start curling it and think, hey, this is where I am. You have to start with a 5-pound weight and work your way up. It's the same thing with the giving muscle. It's just a
Yeah.
different muscle of your brain that is around giving. Start by donating $5. Start by getting out there and just making those donations happen. And then as you scale your business, so does it scale. So start small and realize that it grows to the impact that you want it to be. And the third thing is that one. Oh, I'm having a complete blank now. I do this presentation so much that it's just
You're
so
turning into me.
that I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. That one. And the implementation. The implementation is so hard for people. They think, how do I get my tax receipts?
Yeah.
How do I make all this work? Where do I donate to? Do I use my credit card? Do I pay with cash? How does it work? Very simple. You take a bank account, a completely separate bank account. You take say I do $10 per door per month. Let's say I have 50 doors. I take $500 a month. I just move it into a separate bank account called my happiness or giving account. And then once I have money in that account, I can start deciding what I want to do with it. So there's $500 in there. I can say, hey, you know what? This month I can actually make donations, or I let it stack up $500 a month. And in 10 months, I have $5,000 there. Great.
Mhm.
Now that $5,000 can go make a little bit bigger impact. Or I can go see a homeless person and say, hey, I'm going to go buy a blanket from them. I'm going to take it from this account. What that allows you to do is track your donations. So at the end of the year, when your accountant says, hey, let's go through and do your tax write-offs for your donations, you can just open up that bank account and say, hey, here's all the money went out. These ones were all organizations that I get charity tax receipts for to match them up. And here's all the personal ones that I did to just be a good human.
Mhm.
Very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. If it's in that account will always give. It's never a part of your money, because if you leave it in your bank account, man, is it so much easier to take that $500 and go spend it on advertising to get that next client.
Oh, heck yeah.
Way to give away. So those are the three biggest things that I've seen stop people from giving that I go in and support and solve. It's just those main key issues. If you can solve those three, giving components come in tomorrow into your business.
That just the fact that you can simplify it. So identify something that you love and something that makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
And secondly,
The simple start by giving $5
yeah.
versus $5,000.
And then thirdly, do the bank account to
Yeah.
separate it into, it's basically like your payroll taxes and stuff. You put them in an
Yeah.
account so you can't accidentally spend it before you need to deposit it. But this is
Absolutely.
a wonderful positive thing that you're putting into, not something that makes you, you know, grit
That's
your
why I call
teeth
it your
every
happiness
day.
account, because when you spend money from that account, there isn't a way you can be angry. You can't be
Yeah.
upset going in. I'll use an example of buying a homeless person a blanket. You can't be upset when you're going into your account, pulling out $50, buying a blanket, and going and sitting with a homeless person. You can't be upset. So if you're looking for something to buy you happiness, it's there. Or if you're writing a check for a few $1,000s to put a kid through sport that never had the opportunity to do it, that's got to make you feel pretty good. So selfishly, that's how I buy my happiness is I move all my money to that account and then I just use that to buy my happiness for whatever I want. I will say there's a fourth thing, which is a whole different category, but it's people feel like they're salesy or scammy when they're adding a giving component to their business,
Uh-huh.
right? We're told don't give what your right hand does, your left hand isn't supposed to know, right?
Yeah.
And that is true for my personal life. Nobody will ever know what I give in my personal life, the people that I help, what I do, or what I see. But what my business does, I encourage that because that is what people want to relate to.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times people in their businesses say, hi, my name's Randy. I run a consulting company. We do fractional CGO, chief giving officer work. This is why we're the best company out there. And this is what separates us. And there's some features there that make me different. Well, Lisa, you're doing the exact same thing on your end
Mm-hmm.
with the exact same pitch, maybe just some different features. We're apples to apples. What I've helped create for people is you do that pitch and then you say, and one of the amazing things is that by working with me, for every client that I hire, I put one kid through sport. And the reason why is because I had such an opportunity to learn how to be a team player, get leadership skills, and gain confidence by playing sports. And it makes me sick to my stomach to think that it's just money stopping kids from getting that experience. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that if I can close more deals and help more people, I can put more kids through sports. And that's what really means the world to me. And why I'm here today on this sales call is because I actually just want to put more kids through sport and deliver a superior product than anybody else in the market. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the offer and not saying, hey, buy my product because it's going to go do good. It's explaining why I have a passion and it makes me human. People
Yeah.
can relate to human. You're probably sitting there like, oh yeah, you're actually right, Randy. I do like that. And I want to work with you now because I know that you have a passion for helping people. And I got to talk about leadership and stuff. But now, Lisa, you're probably going to ask me a question around that. There's not very often that someone goes, cool, well, tell me more about your business. Most people are like,
Mhm.
oh, that's so special. Like, I love kids. I have kids. I love sports. I want to do something. Oh, you give back. That's incredible. And then I build a relationship with the client to then have a know, like, and trust factor that's already built in and approved versus that original pitch, which was just, hey, here's who I am and here's my value add.
And instead of the fake relationships that people try to build by not saying that it's not fine to share people's stuff and like it and comment, but there's so many people that just do it for that goal of getting a sale. This is a true relationship, a true thing that you have in common with other people. And you don't have to feel cringy about it. Because you're not doing it to use that cause. You're supporting that cause and you're using your business to support that cause.
100%. And I mean, in what world, like, there's another tactic where you can actually ask the client, hey, Lisa, and by working with me, I'm going to donate a portion of my stuff to your favorite charity or
Yeah.
cause. What charity would you want me to support? 90% of the time, that person has some sort of charity that's attached to them personally.
Yeah.
So, death in the family, cancer, child something around the world typically has some sort of relation to a trauma.
Hmm.
Once I find out your trauma, Lisa, we can become best friends. I'll
Right.
never just sit there and say, hey, Lisa, tell me about a trauma that you have. I would love to learn about it. But if I
Yeah.
say, hey, what charity can I donate to on your behalf? You
Uh-huh.
might say, oh, I would love for you to donate to the Cancer Society because my uncle passed away from cancer last year. Really? That hurts me. I can't imagine that. What a pain. How can I be of service to you? I just want to let you know again, all I'm trying to do is just be human. And
Yeah.
once we get out of the sales call and into being human, then it's just a normal conversation and I build a relationship with you. So that's what it's really meant to do is just make me human. And I think
Mhm.
that's why 86% of all consumers want to see people get back is because capitalism is such a hierarchy of things right now where people think the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I'm
Yeah.
trying to kind of bridge that gap and say, hey, I am going to be wealthy, but I'm also here to relate to people that I want to help. I
Mhm.
want to do good in this world.
Yeah, wealth is not a bad thing. It's turned into this thing that, oh, you're so greedy if you make money. And there's so many people that have this attitude of the opposite of abundance. They have the attitude of scarcity that if you make this much, it means I can't make that much. I'm like, what the heck? There's not a limited amount of money in the world. It's not like
Yeah.
there's this amount of income that if Randy makes this, then that means other people can't make it. So I love that you're helping to change that outlook as well. I have a friend who is a realtor that every home she sells, she gives a portion of the sale to whatever the charity of. I believe she does it like if she's the listing agent, she gives for on behalf of the person who had it up
Yeah.
for sale. But if she ends up selling the house herself also directly to the buyer, she gives on both sides. And I think it's
Beautiful.
so great. It means a lot to people.
And it's so the biggest thing for me is learning how to craft the message. This is
Yeah.
where I'm carving my niche out right now. Is that's so special. I love that. If she can frame that in a way that says, hey, for every home that I sell, I'm going to support X, Y, and Z or your cause.
Yeah.
Tell me about why. Now that person has 3 listing agents come through to see which one they want to list their house with. And each one says the same thing. I'm the best agent in town. I have all these tricks up my sleeve to sell your home. And then she says, and I want to work with you because I want to make a donation to your charity. What's your cause? And they say something personal and she connects to them on a personal level. Boom. How do you,
Yeah.
86%, 80, it's a stat. 86% would rather choose her. So it just makes it a no brainer. So when people learn how to actually articulate that and work with it, it's a game changer.
It truly is. And anybody out there listening, all y'all have to do is think about it yourselves. If you were talking to somebody like a listing agent, put yourself in those shoes and be like, okay, if everything else is equal, what would be the deciding factor? And that is who you would go with. But again, the realtor or whoever it is not doing it to be cringy. They're not doing it to use people or to use causes for selfish means, but they truly are giving back. And by going bigger, they can give bigger. Like Randy's message,
100%.
go big to give big.
Yeah, and that's truly it. And I have a lot of people ask me this question. Well, what about the people that are using it for scammy stuff?
Yeah.
They're just going to expose themselves. I truly
Right.
believe that. I believe in just the cream of the crop rise to the top is such a true statement. And just the true authentic humans are going to stick out. People are going to catch up to scammy type people. Your gut tells you if somebody feels like a
Yeah.
shyster or not. When someone is coming to your door and saying, hey, I've got the best returns in town, I can give you 40 or 50%, I can double your money in 6 months. You're like, ooh, that doesn't sound good. If someone's coming to your door and saying, hey, buy my product because I'm going to donate $500 to this charity, and you need to buy my product because I donate, you're going to be like, that doesn't feel good. But if somebody
Mhm.
comes to your door and says, hey, here's my product, and by working with me, this is the impact I want to make and why I believe it's so impactful, you can't fake that. I can't sit there
Yeah.
and tell you about Kids Sport Victoria without feeling that emotion of like, oh, it makes me sick that it's literally just money stopping kids from playing sports. If I had
Mhm.
$300,000 tomorrow, I'd be able to put 30,000 kids through sport. That easy? Let's go. Like that's all I have to do. Just
Mhm.
close more deals. That's what I'll do. So it's very passionate that comes out, and it is very easy to see and distinguish in this
Yeah.
industry.
I grew up in a similar situation as you, that I didn't even know until I was in college that we were below the poverty level because we didn't feel like we were. We had everything that we needed and we had ponies and dogs and, it was like a menagerie at our house. And I was stunned I knew that we didn't have as much as a lot of my friends whose parents were like doctors and lawyers and
Yeah.
whatever, but I didn't think of us as being poverty level. So I was stunned when I was in college and realized that. And I think those labels have a real effect on people.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of people, then once we get out and we're out in the world, a lot of us feel guilty and you don't have to have grown up in lower income or whatever, but a lot of people feel guilty about making more. They've bought into this false story of what capitalism is and that capitalism is just greed and everything. And they feel guilty, so they don't want to grow past a certain point. And a lot of people don't even realize it, Randy. They sabotage their own success because they don't feel good about making more. And I love that what you're doing can help people get past that,
It,
you know?
if you have a giving component attached to your company and you have the ability to go help people, literally, if you have the
Why
ability
wouldn't you?
to provide clean water for kids in Africa that literally can't drink water today, and you go, "Ah, I just don't deserve the money."
Yeah,
Cool. Maybe you don't deserve the money, but the kids in Africa do.
exactly.
All of a sudden you're like, "Oh, you're right. I'm doing this for them and I'm
Mhm.
going to benefit." So I'm working on these new concepts and theories that is all about um, uh, not the selfish ego, but just around the principles and concepts of when you do something for somebody else, you'll actually work harder than if you do it for yourself. So by
Uh-huh.
attaching these giving components to your businesses or your brands, you actually work for a harder reason. It's not for yourself. That is the challenge I went through when I was sitting there with my real estate investment company. It's like, what for? For myself to get richer? I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't need money. I grew up very low income. I'm
Mhm.
happy with family. I'm happy in camping. I don't need fancy stuff. I just wanted to be financially free. But
Yeah.
when I attached the giving components, obviously you can hear I'm passionate. I'm like, if it means I can help more kids go through sport, is it not my obligation and duty now to go out and create more revenue and create more income? So I'm really trying to put this into perspective that changing capitalism means right now you go out and you make a ton of money,
Mhm.
you sell a product and you make a ton of money, and then you go and do good. What if we reversed it? What if you went with a giving component and went and did a ton of good, and in exchange you got rewarded and paid better than anybody in this world because of the good you did? So we're
Yeah.
trying to reverse it on its head. And so that is how I really see capitalism changing. That right now it's like greedy capitalist gives back when he's rich after he's already made it. I
Mhm.
see it as people start giving now, and because they do, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, will treat them better because they're making an impact in the world, and they deserve to be having more income because they're making more impact.
Yes, and then they have more income, they can help more people, and it's just a self-fulfilling thing. It just it I was so excited when you reached out to me because I don't meet very many people that have that same mindset. And not saying that I'm all that or all great or anything, but there are not very many people that want to talk about that part of business. They all want to talk about growth and make more and do this and do that, and that's great. And I want money, and I like money just as much as everybody else. But I've always been the type person that anything I do, it has to be for a reason. Um, and so I was just so thrilled, especially because of your young age. I mean, I think I told you, I think you're my daughter's age, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm like, I love it that you're so young and that you have figured it out at such a young age. You already were very successful, have figured it out at such a young age. And for me to think about the impact that you're going to be able to have in the world is just overwhelming by the time you're my age.
I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited that I did find this at a very young age, and very lucky to have some incredible mentors in my life that have inspired me. And, some of the things that have been put into my head early on, my dad always said, build your reputation, not your bank account. That was
Mhm.
always his statement to me since I could breathe, basically. It was like, you only get one reputation in this world. So I've always believed in trying to be the most honest and integral human that I can. And then the other one was just a lot of my mentors have instilled in me of like, when it's your death day and or your funeral and you have a bunch of people coming to your funeral, do you want people sitting in the seats saying, yeah, he was a good guy and maybe he made a lot of money and had some nice cars? Or do you want people lined up out the door fighting for the microphone, talking about the impact that you made in their lives? And that's how I handle every conversation. I don't leave a conversation without telling them about Go Big to Give Big and the impact that I'm doing, because I know that's an impactful statement. So I want to leave every relationship, even if it's the first time I've met somebody, to the point where if I died on the spot and they showed up at my funeral, they'd say, I met this guy for 30 minutes And I already know that he had a big vision for the world. He impacted me. He changed me. And oh, this is where I start getting emotional is it's like my friend passed away. And so I stepped up and said, hey, I'm going to do this for him. I just want other people that if I leave this earth, they're going to rally around and say, hey, we can't just let this movement die. We
Yeah.
can't just let this walk away. And I always dreamed of this circle of friends of instead of sitting there talking about the fancy cars we drive or the fancy houses we have, we brag about the people that we helped, the surgeries that we paid for friends that nobody knows about. This little hidden boys club where it's not about gambling and getting rich and smoking cigars. It's about, man, did I tell you about little Johnny that couldn't afford glasses and I just bought him glasses last night? And it's
Yeah.
like, what? That's cool. I'll show you up. I just paid for, this homeless person to go on an all-inclusive trip somewhere. Like, how fun would that be? Those are the moments that I cherish so much and love more than talking about the money that I have. I love talking about the impact that I make.
Yeah. And I wish I were there in Canada so I could give you a big hug and we could both cry together.
That's the first time I've cried on a podcast or a show in a while. So
Well,
you
well,
did a good
I'm
job.
teary eyed again too. So Ryan will tell you, Ryan Garrett, that he'll tell you I'm like a crier. He always warns people, Lisa's going to cry. So whenever we have meetings with people to talk about our cause, you know. So anyway, okay. So I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you for the chief giving officer thing, because there are bigger companies out there that truly need your help to help them stop throwing money at ridiculous stuff and start putting that money towards something that matters. And then, however you want to close up for small business owners that can't afford you as CGO but want to start doing this.
100%. This is like one of the weirdest things. I don't like pitching my services, but I also am solving a problem. So it's one of
Yeah.
these weird, it's not like I'm trying to brag about it, but it's a cool concept that I found that is just not very talked about. So I'll frame it for you. A lot of people out there hire fractional CFOs to get their finances right. Chief Financial Officer,
Yeah.
hey, I need my finances are out of order. Come fix it. Chief a fractional COO, a chief operating officer. Hey, I need you to come build some systems or processes. I'm running this event. I need you to come just take care of the operations and logistics for this one thing, this one time. Get it done and operate. I came up with chief giving officer. So fractional CGO work. You hire me and I come in and I just build the whole giving component to your company. I spent some time with you. I've done a lot of coaching and personal development. So I know how to get the questions out of you to learn about what you want to give back to. I'll go find and source the charities. I'll create the messaging and marketing. I put it into your whole company. I do a keynote to your whole team. I work with your executives, and we just build philanthropy as a component of your organization. And so it is not hiring these big, huge consulting companies that just take your money and cost massive amounts to just manage how you give. I come in, I build it for you, and then I turn it back to you. So it's just a turnkey operation that you now just get to run all the time. And it's a one-time fee for me to come in and do it for you, or you can come back and I can rearrange, but it's not an ongoing service. It is just a come in and do fee. So that is the fractional CGO work of solving that problem, what you're talking about, of hiring these huge companies to come in and decide how you give away and what to do. I'm just a smaller independent company that comes in very efficient, gets the work done, puts it all in a package for you, and you have that for life.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is a lot of people can't afford that stuff, or they have a smaller company, or they're just doctors or lawyers or people that make a decent revenue, or they're just good humans on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
I've realized there is not a very big circle for the giving communities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nonprofit support for people that run nonprofits and give back. There's a lot of business support for organizations for people to make more money in this world. There's not something in the middle like what I am a part of, where I want to go in and talk about here's my business and here's how I make a ton of money and here's the organizations I support and how I give back. And I want to go to events where we go down to Mexico and build a house and talk about business while we're doing philanthropic work and meet up with a bunch of people doing 7, 8, 9 figures, but we're cleaning beaches together.
Mm-hmm.
Or doctors that are just like, hey, I just want to start giving more and be more involved in the community. Great, we've got connections for you. So I'm launching a online community that is going to be called the Go Big to Give Big community. And it's just going to be changing the way that we look at entrepreneurship. It's going to have a whole training series. I'm going to bring in speakers, but it's not just going to be the speakers that come in and give their classic keynote. It's going to be like my podcast where we interview them of what is your Go Big? What is your Give Big? Why did you create a charity? Why should people support organizations? We'll bring in nonprofits and talk about the challenges they face about having to go out and raise money and how their overhead could probably drop 30% by not having to go out and run charity events, by just having people donate to them. So now more money goes to the people. We're going to bring in so much fun type stuff. We're going to partner with a bunch of people, do a bunch of giveaways of swags and companies like Tom Shoes or 10 Tree Clothing or Diff Eyewear that do the 1-for-1 models. We're going to get a bunch of swag and do a bunch of giveaways. And then we're going to try and disrupt the event space. We're going to try and just do things a little bit differently. We're going to create an incredible community of people that want to give back and do great business. But then we're going to do very fun events, like I said, where we go do a beach cleanup. And that's where our business meeting is. And then we go to the boardroom after and talk about the business. Or we go to Mexico and build a house, or we go to an orphanage. A lot of my friends, a few of my friends run orphanages in Mexico. Cool. You want to talk getting real? My buddy Cole runs a retreat where we go down to his orphanage. You spend 2 days hanging out with poverty, kids that are just happy to have food on the table, painting their orphanage, serving them, playing soccer. You don't speak their language. Then you go back to the boardroom and start talking about your business. Suddenly your problems are very different.
Yes.
It really changes the way you look at your business in a new light. And you have this insane connection with human that you've never had before. When you go serve with someone in poverty, that person becomes your family. You're like, wow, we're experiencing something together. Then you go back to the boardroom and you talk business. And all of a sudden you're like, the fact that my Lamborghini doesn't go fast enough is like, okay, we really, or I only have one Lamborghini and I want two. It's like, we have just different perspectives that we need to kind of just rearrange in. So that's what I'm really looking at doing with the event space for those kinds of people. It's a huge, huge need right now. A lot of people want it. A lot of people have expressed their excitement for it. And now it's just a matter of launching it and getting it off the ground.
So for the companies that want to hire you as CGO, where do they go?
Yeah, you can find everything just at gobigtogivebig.com.
Okay.
Or on LinkedIn. You can message me on my profile. But if you go to gobigtogivebig.com, there's a piece on there about consulting and the fractional CGO work. I got a free community on Facebook as well. So if people just want to get to know and learn more, it's just everywhere. Anywhere you look, we own the entire branding around Go Big to Give Big. So if you just type that in, you can find us everywhere.
And so the membership thing for the smaller businesses and stuff, people can learn more about that at also gobigtogivebig.com and your Facebook group and everything else, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Randy, I'm so happy that you reached out to me the other week, and I'm so glad to meet you. And I or talk with you tonight. I already met you, but I'm so glad to have you on here. And I'm so excited to think about the things that we can do together in the future. And I just want to thank you from my heart for everything that you're doing and for the amazing changes that you're going to make.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for our friendship now that's been created, and hopefully soon to be some business relationships in there. Like you said, there's something about a filter around giving that I love. People that philanthropy is part of their life, right? It's not forced, it's natural, tend to have more of an abundance mindset. They tend to be in a more positive manner, and they tend to just be good humans. That's who I want to associate with. So
same. I don't want to be around other people. That's all. I just want to be around good humans.
The filter in my community is that. And it just brings in the right people doing the right stuff, doing the right things. And so getting connected to people like you is the gift that I get for being in this space, because it's very hard to find someone that wants to give back, make big impact in the world, live in abundance, and just cherish every moment. Those kinds of people are just great humans, and I want to spend time with them.
Well, thank you, Randy, for your time tonight. And I look forward to whatever we're going to do together in the future.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate you having me on.
Okay, see ya. Good night, everybody, and I will see y'all next week.